You've heard us say it before, we're going to say it again. The dinosaur going extinct, legacy media, stinks and is in major trouble. This time it's CNN, not MSNBC, not Disney, but CNN. And they cannot find a win because they are restructuring, and that means layoffs, burying the bad news under other headlines. But folks, this time they cannot hide, for we will tell you what's really going on at a desperate CNN. Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds simply by telling the truth, one video at a time, 4 videos a day. And we'll get underway today doing what we do so well. Another video of excellence brought to you, and it is ready to go right now. Let's get started. Click the like button and hang on tight. Talk about a devastating few days and months when it comes to legacy media. We just watched MSNBC spun off from Comcast. They're out in the wilderness now, all alone, trying to find leadership. Their president stepped down. We watched as Disney had to settle a lawsuit where they paid $16 million to President Trump and his library over ABC News coverage that was incorrect. CNN has settled with a veteran of the United States military forces where they disparaged him inappropriately in a way that was just egregiously bad.
After being found guilty, don't forget that part.
Yes, after being found guilty. They settled, by the way, to try to get out of the punitive damage stage of things. So, lots of fun. Well, guess what? Now, CNN is restructuring. And when they say restructuring, what they really mean is massive layoffs. This is out of the Hollywood Reporter. It's breaking today. Alex Weprin is the author here. Mark Thompson says new CNN streaming service is in the works as channel sets major restructuring. I love how they put this. I love how they don't just come out and say, big cuts, big cuts. About 6% of jobs or 200 people will be cut, but the company is actively recruiting for hundreds of new roles, with about 100 expected to be filled in the next few months. In other words, they're going to cut 200, try to find 100, maybe. We'll see. CNN on Thursday announced major layoffs and a new strategic plan, in a post-election maneuver meant to help transform the cable channel during a challenging time for the media business. Wonder why it's challenging. CEO Mark Thompson announced the news to staff Thursday morning, adding that CNN would cut about 6% of jobs, or about 200 people. He adds that the company is actively recruiting for hundreds of new roles, with about 100 expected to be filled in the next few months, thanks to a $70 million investment from parent company Warner Brothers Discovery. Zaslav to the rescue. The changes we're announcing today are part of an ongoing response by this great news organization to profound and irreversible shifts in the way audiences in America and around the world consume news. Among the changes are a new streaming service, as CNN plans to develop a new way for digital subscribers at home and abroad to stream news programming from us on any device they choose. Maybe they should call it CNN Plus. It's early days, but we've already established that there's immense demand for it, not just in America, but across much of the world. This reminds me of Bob Iger realizing that video games are popular. Hey, CNN, streaming, it's a thing. So that's where we are right now. This is a lot of veneer put onto a very bad situation at CNN. They are hemorrhaging viewers. Their revenues are dropping. That lawsuit that they just lost that we talked about revealed that they have lost massive advertising dollars over the past few years. And now they're restructuring, cutting, losing jobs. People are going home and not returning. They've got a pink slip and that's all. And panel, it's yet another sign that the legacy dinosaur media is truly going extinct. I don't know how CNN is going to handle this transformation over into streaming, but I got to say, everything they're going through right now is demeaning to the brand and what they once were. CNN was the voice in news. No longer, they are losing every single day to the new media. Panel, what say you in regards to CNN and their attempts to spin what is definitely not a win with so many people losing their jobs?
Well, I can kind of understand. I mean, I think they were really betting on Trump, and as we saw in the inauguration ratings, Trump just didn't get people in. Oh wait, no, they went to digital platforms. So that's
wait a minute, Bash. Explain that to the audience. What are you talking about there?
Yes. So apparently the Nielsen ratings were revealed for the inauguration, and you had a lot of headlines out there suggesting that Trump had one of the lowest ratings of any inauguration ceremony going back decades. And well, what they left out was, and Ron, he understands where I'm going, they left out the digital streaming side of things. So they didn't include any digital numbers. And usually Nielsen's pretty good at revealing those as well. And we actually heard a story about the election coverage and how election coverage from that night in November, the disparity between mainstream media outlets or legacy outlets and new media outlets. And you can see this post right here. I believe over 70 million people may have watched the inauguration from even just a single account on X. I think 35 million going back and rewatching it again, and then millions more on YouTube. The thought is that it's in the hundreds of millions. So I think that's what Zaslav might be referring to when, there might be a hunger for this kind of stuff. It's to me, though, it's not necessarily the median. It's really the content, and the content on CNN, not so good.
Yeah, they don't even recognize just how badly they failed. And look, I my hats were off to Zaslav early on when he came in and canceled the CNN streaming thing they were trying to put in place, because it was honestly just more of the same and a cash grab that people weren't going to go for. But look, the proof's in the pudding because of the case, the Zachary Young lawsuit, and the fact that they wanted to avoid punitive damages, but they didn't do it fast enough, because it was exposed that over the course of the years running through 2023, just 3 years, they had dropped 18%, nearly 20% of their ad revenue, because people were not watching their channel, their audience.
And that Kane culture, the reason that was put out is because there was an assessment as to how much CNN should have to pay. The jury was trying to determine what the compensatory punishment should be.
Yes. Yeah, the value of what the company was, or what the profitability was, because he needed to be paid. And usually, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, when it gets to that punitive stage, they do try to make it a kidney punch, don't they? I mean, they want to make it hurt when they do that, right?
Well, that's what every plaintiff's lawyer wants them to do. But there are limits. There are constitutional limits as to what you can do in punitives as a ratio.
Like $1 billion, like $1 billion for Alex Jones.
Yeah, I mean, that I believe is going to be found to be unconstitutional. But we are existing in a world where the judiciary has been unhinged by politics. So, on the other hand, this is CNN. This is Atlanta. It's amazing that they got the verdict that they did. I don't know if they're going to, put just how much you can push your luck on that.
So, Ron, let me ask you a question that I've been curious about and haven't had a chance to pick your brain on it. That is, we just watched CNN lose badly, and they're in this position, by the way, folks. And for those of you just joining us, CNN is going to have to restructure and lots of layoffs. And this is during when, by the way, Orange Man Bad is there. So you would think that their viewership would be off the charts. People should be tuning in. I mean, doomsday has arrived. The apocalypse is here. Yet CNN can't find anybody to watch what they have to say. Ron, in the lawsuit that CNN faced, as we just said, the information about the revenues came out. You had emails that were just damning coming out about CNN leadership. And as that was happening, one of the things I thought about was, the untouchables now are being touched inside the legal system. And Disney is going up against Elon Musk funding Gina Carano's lawsuit. And as I was hearing this and seeing this out of CNN, I thought, maybe Disney now might look at this and say, yeah, that's the worst case scenario. We really don't want Lucasfilm leadership emails hitting the web. We really don't want people finding out how little Star Wars is making now. We don't want a forensic economic analysis of Star Wars.
Well, the reason for that would be because they don't want shareholders to see that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Potential investors or institutions, anyone, or banks that they get financing from, if whatever the case may be. Okay, go. So now we didn't reach your question yet. I'm sorry.
The question is, now that the Trump administration is here, and now that it is clearly operating in a way that it wasn't in the first term, right? This is a very different president, and this is a different level of kinetic activity right now, everywhere, exactly. Electrons blasting in every direction. Do you think that the legacy companies, do you think the legacy media companies in particular, are they weighing the dangers of the judicial system and going into lawsuits and all that? Are they weighing it differently? Do you think that their cachet is gone?
I don't know about cachet is gone, but I think that there was a period a couple of years ago where the general consensus was you really couldn't win a defamation lawsuit. And I think it's arguable that Sarah Palin broke through that by not only winning one, but winning one in New York and winning it against the New York Times. So, or at least she won the motion. I don't really remember how that case ended up, even though I once represented her in a copyright case here in New Jersey. But I do think there has been a shift towards a little bit more even-handedness on the part of judges, mainly because the appellate courts and the Supreme Court has moderated things a little bit. And also maybe because of the social media scene where it's just become so easy to defame people. There might actually be a smaller percentage of cases that are successful now than was the case 20 years ago, because so many cases are brought based on things that people say on social media, things that would never risen to the level. You know, I once wrote an article saying that, in the old days when someone was a crank, someone wanted to say something weird and strange or, something libelous that had no basis in it, unless they owned their own newspaper or something like that, they'd have to basically mimeograph their story and then put it on windshields and and tape it to walls at the shopping center. Okay, not extremely effective. So it might be there's a smaller percentage of cases that are getting through, but I do think corporate counsel has to be a little bit less giddy about being defamation, being bulletproof on defamation claims.
Yep.
Do you think that we are seeing a demonstration of that through the multiple notes that The View has had to do during the course of their show, their legal notes with Sonny Houston, kind of doing a mea culpa? Also, do you think that this case will further open the gates because of the discovery cycle that we went through, and we saw the malice that CNN employees were, bringing this particular story to people unfairly? Do you think that malice actually opens the door wider to more of these cases going through discovery, like what would happen with Disney's emails being opened wide up to put on public display, to which the judge in this particular case at CNN just wildly reacted to, and then denounced the credibility of the attorney? Do you think that's likely to open that door?
Well, what it does is it reminds corporate counsel, in-house counsel, that's the door that you might end up walking through if this case goes to discovery. I mean, those were the kinds of smoking guns we often tell our clients, unless you find something like this, we can't win this case. They found them and they became public. And yet, and it is interesting the point you raised about culture, about how the judge had to spank the CNN lawyers, and that's a great video. And I wouldn't blame you, Pro, if you threw it up again, unless, mostly because I get it. I'm an almost erotic satisfaction from it. It is the fact that the lawyers thought that they could say that, and they were out-of-town lawyers. I don't know if they're New York lawyers or Washington lawyers. Judge did a little hometown wailing on them. I mean, I will tell you that when I go into an out-of-town court, which I mean not New York and not New Jersey, and when I say not New York, I mean not the Southern or Eastern District of New York, because there's lots of New York where I'm an out-of-town guy. I do realize that I carry the smell and the smeller of New York with me wherever I go. And you have to be sensitive to that. These guys really overplayed their hands. So to some extent, they're in the, I will tell you, I've been in the world of media lawyers for years, and they're an interesting group. And I wish I could say that they're entirely consistent in their views. Some are not. But they do have a kind of an attitude. Okay, let's enjoy this.
Well, it's I'm not sure I've got the right one, but this is the judge in the case. And Ron, you were just talking about how he really smacked down the CNN attorneys. And there's been some confusion, by the way, Ron. Axelrod is the name of the attorney for CNN. That's not
David Axelrod is his name. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is David the attorney, or I thought he was just a strategist for CNN?
No, it's not. So it's not the same David Axelrod.
That's the confusion.
Okay. Sorry, I was very confused there.
Many people have conflated that and thought they're the same person. They're not exactly. But this judge really
they're not exactly the same person.
Yeah, exactly. Ron, could you? What was it that caused him to come down so harshly on CNN?
Yeah, this is not that video. So what caused him to come down so hard? Excuse me, Ballard Spar. I have actually sparred with. That's a pun worthy of you, Pro.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take it.
In fact, they represented. What the hell was his name? The guy who Nate, the lawyer, sued. Boozy. You don't remember Christopher Boozy?
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Silence, so no.
In any event,
you can get where I'm going.
It's great to be a go-to law firm in a case like this. For public companies, it's a nice way to make a living. Thank you, Fallen Angel. Yes. In any event, he was arguing. What was it that he had? Oh, he repeatedly. And this is such a sleazy kind of thing to do. Accusing the lawyers for.
Oh, this is Zachary Young is the plaintiff.
He was calling the plaintiff's lawyer a liar. And the record was very clear that he was not a liar. And in fact, the liar was the defense. The judge said, you can't walk into court with this, this kind of nonsense here. I don't know where you practice. Well, he practices, I think, in Philadelphia. That's the main office of Ballard Spar, where I have many friends. But it was a really refreshing out of town judge kind of thing to hear. I will tell you that whenever you hear a judge give that kind of bench slap to a lawyer in New York,
bench slap, YouTube.
Okay. That means that judge hates that lawyer, because judges normally really don't pay attention to lies, unfortunately, in New York court. So if someone gets caught out for lying or misrepresenting the record, that means the judge has to single you out. And I say you, I don't mean me, and I don't mean you, the listener, but that lawyer has been singled out for special love.
Well, CNN is being singled out for special love, and it is not the kind of love that comes from audiences, but rather from empty ratings. And now they're chasing after streaming. But the big news buried in this, and some very special semantic games, and that is that layoffs are here for CNN as the legacy media continues to be on the ropes.
Well, let me actually add another non-legal point. I had a private conversation. I don't mean confidential. I mean, there were some confidential aspects to it with Tim Pool in December when I was at his place. And his prediction is that exactly what you're saying, that the networks now are going to try to buy into streaming. And he has concerns because they have massive resources. And he believes that they just have to find the it guy, the Joe Rogan for CNN and the Joe Rogan for NBC and the Joe Rogan for CBS. And presumably it's not going to be the clowns who they throw up now. I don't mean throw up. I mean throw up. That you can be the judge.
Quality is consistent, though.
But he thinks that's gonna be the threat to the business models of people such as himself who are successful in streaming. Is that they're going to have which is entirely rational. Of course, it's rational for those businesses to try to get into distribution channels that they're not in now.
Why would we think that legacy media would just roll over? I mean, they've been defeated. But that doesn't mean that they're just going to lay now, as roadkill and say, well, It was a fun time while it lasted for those 3 or 4 generations. Culture.
Well, no, I just first of all, I observed this interaction because I remember the show that you're talking about that you were on, and well done on that show, by the way. That's complimentary in your direction. But I disagree with him. I've disagreed with him since he started talking about that. I understand his concerns and him expressing them, but well, no, it's just the mainstream news media has a particular way of doing things and a particular way of structuring things, and they won't be any more authentic if they proceed down that path. They can certainly change their distribution, venues, the streaming channel, whatever, but they have those. Believe it or not, CNN has a YouTube channel. Right.
Culture, are you saying that Jake Tapper and Wolf Blitzer are not going to be as successful at Joe Rogan if they do a streaming show?
Well, they've been shown to be lying. Of course, I'm saying that. Like I said, CNN.
It's not only that. Culture. Are these guys going to put up with chats with people in chat? No. They're just going to shut down the chat. They're going to censor it completely, and people are going to say, "This is not the streaming experience." You guys just think the streaming experience is that you're just going to take your cameras and plug them into a different channel, and then people are going to watch it on their phones. No, it's an interactive experience. It's a democratic experience. People are going to see immediately how many other people are watching. People are going to see immediately whether you're responding to chat.
And that's one of the. Go ahead.
The vague disgust that Jake Tapper has on his face at all times is not engaging to an audience. No one is going to him for entertainment value. And if they can't go to him for truth, if neither of those things are present, it will not work.
Yeah, and the interactivity is important. It's one of the reasons why, as a creator, engaging your chat is paramount. They have to be a part of the experience. And if you skip out of that, as you pointed out, the show will be immediately defeated. Nobody likes looking at Sunny Houston when she looks like, I don't know, Zendaya, or what's the other super popular chick that's Snow White? Rachel Zegler. Right.
Zegler?
Yeah. So if you have permascal on your face or whatever it is, that's not inviting. And the fact that they oftentimes anchors deliver news in like a completely stoic manner. There has to be some level of investment by a creator in the topic they're talking about, or there won't be any buy-in from that audience. Streaming is entirely different, and there is no way any of these networks get it.
I have officially written down in my notes that we're going to do a commercial, one of those faux commercials for Permascal now. Thank you, Culture. That's 100% coming. Vash, what's in this conversation? We're going to give you the final word, Vash.
Oh, I think that's brilliant analysis from all of you. It's not the medium; it's the content, and they don't clearly understand that. They understand the personalities that really engage with the audience like they do, and how streaming is so unique from traditional legacy content. And they just haven't quite understand that, or haven't quite figured that out. They don't understand it, and I don't think we're on the road to that being understood.
And folks, let the credits roll for this one. Well, it is in the bank. We are done here. We're over and out. But before we go, there's one thing we must shout to you, and we do it in the kindest way possible. Folks, it would be such a pleasure if you could consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and that notification bell. Click it, stick it to the algorithms. You bet. Don't forget also, as you get ready to leave, drop a comment down below if you have not yet, for we would love to know what's on your mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue. Folks, as we get ready to leave, we say to you, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and no matter what the world might do or what your station might be, up or down, you keep having fun.